Hallelujah. Blessed be Yahweh, our King, King of the universe, who has allowed us to return once again. Hoping and praying that everyone has had a blessed week. Welcome to Shabbat Night Talk. My name is Uzziel Lewi. I'm one of the teachers of the congregation, Beit Da'at Kagma Ubina, located at 382 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Thanking the Most High God for all things and everything, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I'm grateful to this mighty King for my life, the life of my family, the life of Kobe Yisrael scattered in the four corners of the earth. And for all of you who are joining us this night, this evening, I pray that the Most High God has blessed you in the week, that the Most High God has been with you and protected you, and that the Most High God continue to be with you in all your endeavors that you desire in righteousness. I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth continue to be with us all and protect us and guide us. Give him glory to this merciful King for all things and everything. Even with everything that's going on in the earth at this moment, God is merciful to us all, and he protects us and he guides us. So we always must give glory to his name. This time I'd like to go into the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, the book of Mishlei, chapter 27. Now, the Proverbs are instructions, not in addition to the Torah, but there are instructions for certain things that we might not understand in life. King Solomon left this here on record for us to be able to maneuver certain things in life that we might not specifically see clearly in the Torah. King Solomon enhances it and brings it forth and brings us understanding certain things in our lives that we might not know. So at this moment, we will go into the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 1. Hallelujah. It reads, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring." So don't think about what tomorrow is going to bring. Now, that does not mean that you cannot plan for the future, right? It's always wise to plan for the future. But never leave out of your vocabulary, God willing. Hey, I'm going to do this tomorrow, God willing. Hey, Yah willing, this is what I plan to do. Always remember to put the Most High God in the equation, because we're not promised tomorrow. Remember, man proposes to do things, but God disposes of them. Verse 2. Another man praise thee and not thine own mouth, a stranger and not thine own lips. So don't pat yourself on the back. Let somebody else say that you're a good man. Let somebody else say that you're a good person. Right? Let a stranger say that. Let someone, because of something that you did that was honorable or that was good, give you that praise, give you that upliftment. Never be the person who pats himself on the back. That's a no-no. Verse 3. A stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but a fool's vexation is heavier than them both. A stone is heavy and sand is weighty, right? A bag of sand is weighty. Sometimes we put that to weigh down tents and stones and things of this nature so that things won't blow away. So they're heavy. But a fool's vexation is heavier than them both. So we got to remember that in biblical times, a fool is really someone who does not follow in the path of the Most High God. All right? Does not walk in that path or in that way. So a fool's vexation, right? And a fool could be anyone. It could be someone with a PhD. It could be someone that's a doctor, a lawyer, anything in life could be a fool. These people, when they get angry, there's no holding them back. You see, a person that fears God, when they get angry, and they might get wrathful and they might get upset, right? If they believe in the Creator and the word of the Creator, you might drop some wisdom on them and bring down their spirit, because they have someone to answer to. They have someone that's higher than them. But a fool is not like that. You could try to drop all type of wisdom on them. They don't want to hear it, because they frame of mind is solely locked in on what they feel is right. And they have nothing to answer to. So a fool vexation is way worse than a weighty stone or a bag of sand, right? It's way heavier than that. So with a fool, you're going to have to do more. Sometimes with fools, fools end up getting stripes. It says here, Wrath is cruel and anger is overwhelming, but who is able to stand before jealousy? So a wrathful person is cruel, and an angry person is overwhelming, right? Sometimes it overwhelms you when you become angry. You get headaches and high blood pressure, and it affects your health. It becomes overwhelming, but who is able to stand before jealousy? That's that green-eyed monster, right? Jealousy. We have to be careful, and it goes into envy. You're jealous of someone because they have. They're jealous. You're jealous of someone because they speak a certain way. You're jealous of someone because they act a certain way. We have to stay away from that, because then that goes into that sin of the mind, like coveting. You're jealous of someone because they have something that you would like, but you didn't put in the work to get it. So these are things we have to be careful about, and we have to be cognizant of, that we don't walk into those paths and we don't fall into these categories. Verse 5, better is open rebuke than love that is hidden. So it's better for someone to rebuke you openly, tell you you're wrong, than for them to know that you're doing something wrong. Don't rebuke you. Let you continue in the wrong that you're doing, but claim that they love you. I don't want that kind of love. The love that I want is someone to tell me that I'm wrong. Someone that's close to me to tell me I'm wrong. You're looking at it the wrong way, right? You always have to have people like that in your life to rebuke you or to set you in the right path. A lot of times those be our parents, our mothers, our fathers. They set us in the right path. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are importunate. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. So a friend is going to wound you. It doesn't mean a physical wound, like like you getting a cut or a scratch or a black eye or anything like that. Meaning that a friend is going to wound you because sometimes they're going to tell you things that you don't want to hear. And they cut. They said the truth hurts, right? And it cuts sometimes, right? So faithful are the wounds of a friend. A good friend, not a yes man, is going to tell you the truth. And they're going to wound you in telling you the truth. It says here, verse 7, the full soul loatheth honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. So the full soul loatheth honeycomb. So when you're full, most of the times in this Western society, when you already ate your dinner, sometimes you got to have a slice of cake, some cookies. I know about that, ice cream, things of that nature, right? But when you're really full, it's like, man, I can't, I'm stuffed. I can't handle that. I can't anymore, right? You overstuffed yourself. But to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. To the hungry soul, it could be a biscuit. That's the worst biscuit. But if they haven't eaten for 48 hours, that's going to be the best biscuit they've ever had. You understand what I'm saying? If they haven't eaten for quite a few days, that's going to be the best pot of stew they've ever had. And then they come back and they taste the same pot of stew after, not going through starvation or hunger or whatever it is. And they be like, this is not that good. It's kind of bland. Well, I thought you made such a good stew before. No, it was the same stew, but you were just hungry. So it just shows you that sometimes it's better to judge things when things are balanced, right? When you're not in a critical situation or you're not in dire straits or in need, right? That's the best time to measure situations and to measure certain things. So it's just the issues of life and the facts of life and the way that the human psyche is and how the human mind operates. It reads here, as a bird that wandereth from her nest, so is a man that wandereth from his place. So just as a bird who wandereth from her nest, a mother bird who abandons her chicks in the nest, so a man who wanders away from his family. Your children are most important to you. They need you for their development. It's great. Many of us were raised up by our mothers, and that was a great thing because our mothers showed us love. But a mother cannot replace a father. So fathers, you have to be aware that you don't want to leave the nest. You don't want to abandon the nest. You want to be able to be there for your children and be able to raise them up, because there's nothing worse than for another man to be raising your children. Right? So even if you and the mother didn't work out, always come back and fight for your children. Never abandon your children. Never do that. Many of us grew up without our fathers. Our fathers were not around, and that was unfortunate. But for us, being here, living this life, don't abandon your children. Be fathers to your children and raise them in the way that they should go. It says here, ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. So just ointment and perfume, cologne and all those things smell good, and when you smell a person that smells good, it brings it brings this feeling over you, and it rejoices the heart, because it makes you feel good. Smelling good, looking good, makes you feel good. It rejoices your heart. So doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Now that hearty counsel is that heartfelt, that counsel that comes from the soul. You ever sit down with a friend and you're going through something and they give you something that you needed? It hits you right in the chest. You're like, man, it's not a rebuke. It's just something that you needed to replenish your soul and your spirit. That's that hearty counsel, right? And you said to yourself, yeah, that's what I needed. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my sister. That's what it's talking about. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not, neither go in thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not. Why? Because friends are hard to come by. All right, so if you have a good friend, don't forsake him. And your father's friend, your father's probably no longer here, he becomes a friend to you. Your father's friend is usually Uncle Larry, Uncle Joe, Uncle so-and-so. And he's not your blood relative. He's not your blood uncle. But nonetheless, he's there. And now he becomes a friend to you, because now that your father is gone, right, he took on the responsibility of looking after you as if you were a son, because that's the way your father would have wanted it. Right? So those are good friends. Those are friends that you keep. Friends that help you out when you're in need, and you help them out when they're in need. Those are friends that you need, and friends that you don't forsake and do away with. It reads here. Better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. Right, because it doesn't mean that it's not good to have a brother. It just said better is a neighbor that is near, because the neighbor can help you instantly because he's near you, than a brother that's far off. You got to go travel to try to borrow something from him or try to get something from him. He's too far off. He's 3 days' journey. You know what I mean? He lives in California. What good is he going to be to you at the moment if you need something? Well, today, we have Cash App, we have Zelle, we have all these things. So it might be a little bit easier in these days. But back then, it's speaking about, if somebody was at a distance, it's better to have a neighbor right at hand near you that thinks like you, that trusts you, you trust them. And sometimes that neighbor becomes like family. Becomes family to you because you live so near to him, and y'all develop the same ideas and the same thoughts, right? So it's better to have that. It says here, give me 1 second. Verse 11, my son, be wise and make thy heart glad, that I may answer him that taunteth me. A prudent man seeth the evil and hideth himself, but the thoughtless pass on and are punished. So a prudent man, a man of understanding and wisdom, he sees the evil and he doesn't go by that evil, right? Because that evil might jump off on him. So you see a scenario, you see a certain thing, that things are not happening well, or you might be with a group of friends and they decide that today they want to run into a store and ransack it. You see the evil, you depart from the evil. Say, hey, before y'all do that, give me a 20-minute head start. I'm going to head to the subway station, make sure I'm on the train, and I'll advise y'all not to do that, but if y'all going to continue to do that, arrivederci, I'm gone. Things that you have to think of, especially when you're young. You see the evil, you turn away from the evil, right? That's a man of understanding and wisdom, a prudent man, and hideth himself. But the thoughtless pass on and are punished. The thoughtless, nothing is going to happen. I'm not going to grab anything. I'm just going to be with them. Guess what? Everybody else runs. You say, I don't got nothing. I don't have to run. Yeah. Guilty by association, brother. Time for you to get locked up. Because you were thoughtless. You didn't think about what they were doing. You just thought that you were going to outsmart everything when you're supposed to separate yourself from evil. So these are the things that we have to think about and the things that we have to be concerned about and the righteous thoughts that we have to have as we grow. It says here, take his garment that is surety for a stranger and hold them in pledge that is surety for an alien woman. So don't co-sign for people that you don't know, that are strangers to you. Yeah, don't worry, man. I got, give him that thing, man. He good for it. You know what I mean? He good for it. This guy skipped town on you, and then what happens? Right? You got to pay that bill. You bail somebody out in our communities, bail people out, you put your home up to the bail bondsman. Put your money up, you put your house up because you don't have enough money to pay for that bond, for that bail. Right? So the bail bondsman puts the money up, but then the person skips town. No, he good for it. The person skips town. And now you left with your house on the line, and the bail bondsman is coming after your house. Don't be surety for a person that you don't know. So now this goes a little bit deeper because we talk about our children. A lot of time our children need us to sign for college loans, for student loans, right? And that becomes a more difficult task because, most parents are going to help out their children. But then you get children that go to school for a year, you take out these loans for them, and then they skip out, and then automatically you have to start paying the loan because because they skipped out of school, they're not working, so they're not paying the loan back, so you're left holding the bag. We sometimes go above and beyond for our children for the love that we have for them. But children, if you put your parents through something, if you make them co-sign for you, then it's your duty to pay back the loan. When you finish your 4 years of school, sometimes it's understood it's hard to find jobs, so forth and so on. But if you do, don't leave your parents paying for that when you are the one that's responsible for that. They co-sign for you so that you could get the loan. And it's your duty, it's imperative for you to pay that loan back. It says here, and hold him in pledge that is surety for an alien woman, a woman that you don't know. You co-sign for her, you do all types of stuff for her. It says, stick to the lakes and the rivers that you used to. Or stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. Whichever way it goes, stick to that. Forget them foreign women because they'll have you in debt. All right? Stick to your own. It says here, he that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. So sometimes it's not good to be loud in the morning. And I'll give you an example. Sometimes, hey, good morning. You wake up the whole neighborhood. You might have a good spirit, but people are still sleeping. And I'm guilty of that. I could admit to that. My children always complain about me on Shabbat morning because I wake up early. I walk around. I wake everybody up just by walking around. I'm reading my book. I'm getting into the day. I'm looking forward to the services. And then I put on the music with the drumming, and they twisting and turning. They trying to get their last 30 minutes. You could get cursed for that by your family. Just let the morning come in smooth. Let people wake up. Let people stretch out. Let people do all those type of things. Hey, good morning. How are you? You know what I'm saying? Don't be so loud and boisterous in the morning because people still trying to get that last bit of sleep. It says here, a continual dropping in a very rainy day and a contentious woman on light. So what this means is that continual dropping. I believe in Vietnam. This is how they used to torture men. They used to sit you in a room and just let this continual drop in the water, bing, beep, 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 on the floor. Now, initially, it doesn't do anything to you. But after a while, when you're going through delirium, starvation, and all of that, that dropping begins to sound louder and louder and louder to the point where it drives you crazy. It's like a nagging. Another example, sometimes when you have air conditioners, if you live in an apartment building, you got an air conditioner above yours, you live on the second floor, the neighbor is on the third floor, and his or her air conditioner are dripping into your air conditioner. In the daytime, when the cars are moving and everything is bustling and everything, you can't even hear the dripping. But in the nighttime, with the windows closed, your AC on, it sounds like it's getting louder and louder and louder as that dripping falls on the metal on your air conditioner, right? And you can't sleep. And it's annoyance. And it's you twisting and turning. It becomes torture. That's what is comparing a contentious woman with. A contentious woman is a woman that continuously want to fight, want to go back and forth with you, with a man. Now, we know that most of our wives are not contentious. I'm not talking to people that are not. But if you are contentious, if you calling people out of their name, you're being disrespectful, you just a contentious person, you always like to fight. This goes for man and woman. It's not good. This is not a good spirit to have. You need to separate yourself from that spirit and work on yourself so that you won't be counted as a contentious person, a contentious woman, to be exact, as it is spoken of in this verse. It says here, he that will hide her hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand betrayeth itself. So he that hideth her hideth the wind. You can't hide her, right? You can't hide wind. Wind is always amongst us. So you can't hide her. Eventually it will come out of the house, right? It says a house is to cover shame, but her contentiousness is going to show outside the house. It says, and the ointment of his right hand betrayeth itself, meaning like him trying to hold her back or restrain her. It's like ointment in your hands, like it's going to be slippery. She's going to always get out. You can't hide that, right? So, sisters, if you are like that, or any sister, if you are like that, change your soul and your spirit. Brothers, if you're contentious also, change your soul and your spirit so that you can have smooth sailing in the home. It says here, 17, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. So iron sharpens iron. You know, you take iron to sharpen a knife. You know, metal, sometimes you get a stone, but in this instance it's speaking about two metals sharpening each other, right? Sometimes you see that spark. You see that spark. And so it is in conversations when you have good conversations with a brother, what we call build sessions, right? Build sessions, where we sit down and sometimes we might not agree, but at the end of it, we come out with higher knowledge because I learned something from my brother, he learned something from me, something that I might have not known, something that he might have not known, or your sister. And this is how we grow in knowledge. This is how we grow in understanding. So iron sharpens iron, meaning the iron makes the dull knife sharp. So it is how we do with each other. When we're dull in certain things, we make each other sharp. And that's the way we're supposed to be. As community, as human beings, we're supposed to be that way. We're supposed to be able to sharpen each other. It says here, "18, whoso the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, and he that waiteth on his master shall be honored." So whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. So meaning, if you maintain your fruit, any fruit, it's speaking about a fig tree here, but if you prune around it, if you take the root, the weeds and the grass and you keep it fed and you fertilize it, it's going to bear good fruit, and you're maintaining it, so it's always going to bear for you, right? It's always going to be productive. We could look at this as if we own businesses. Let's say we own a supermarket. You keep it clean, you keep it up to date, you keep rodents out, you own a restaurant, the same thing. If you keep it up, people will always come by from there, right? Because you have a respectable and a reputable business. People will come and purchase from you, and you will always have food to eat. You will always be able to maintain yourself, right? It says, and he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. And when we thinking about master, we thinking about more of a employee and employer situation. So if you have good employees, right, employers, is imperative that you take care of them, and vice versa. If you have a good employee, your best bet is to run the business the way it's supposed to be run. Don't do shortcuts. Don't get over because you have a good employer, right? And that way the business continues, right? We do things in good faith, right? The employer is not always there looking at you, so he expects that you do a good job, right? So this is more what it's speaking of here. It's not so much like bowing down, and it's do a good job, right? If you have a good boss, do a good job. If you have something that's worth something to you, maintain it so that you will always be able to reap the benefits and the goods from it. It says here, as in water, face and answer to face, so the heart of a man to man. Give me 1 second here because my glasses are a little bit. The netherworld and destruction are never satiated, so the eyes of men are never satisfied. So, just like the netherworld, we never, for as many people that have died in the world, there's always enough space to bury them all. The world is vast, it's massive, right? There's always space to bury them, right? So the netherworld never gets tired of bringing people back to the earth from whence they came from. There's always space. So the eyes of a man are never satiated, right? This is a greedy man, a person who's just wants to continue to amass wealth. What's good is all the wealth for you, right? And you just keeps amassing wealth. You keep amassing wealth. You keep amassing wealth, and you're not helping out the poor and the needy and the people that are really in need of your help. You just keep. That's what rich people do. That's why they said the 1%, they run the world because they got most of the money, although you got all these billions of people in the earth. They got most of the money. They amass the wealth. And most of them are not helping poor and needy people. It said, the refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, and the man is tried by his praise. So refining pot is for silver and the furnace is for gold. To see, right, you put the silver in the refining pot so that you could take all of the things that you don't need and get the pure silver, right? And the furnace for the gold, the same thing, to take the dross off of it, right? So that you could get to the element, the precious element. And a man is tried by his praise. So we are tried by how much we praise the Most High God to see how valuable we are. Are we as good as silver, or are we as good as gold? So when we come out with our praises, always ready to uplift the name of the Most High God and praise him. We must always be ready to do that. It says here, though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar with the pestle among groats, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. So, though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar with the pestle among groats. So, bray meaning, now the mortar, right? You have the mortar and you have the pestle. Now, you ever see those little bowls? Sometimes you put like seasonings in it, and you get the pestle is the little grinding stick, or is made sometimes of what do you call that? of granite, right, or wood, metal. Sometimes the mortar, the mortar is the little bowl, and you grind it, right? You grind it to refine it, to make whatever seed it is fine. But also, back in the days, they had pestles to separate the wheat from the shaft, right? So that pestle, they have bigger pestles and bigger mortars to beat the wheat or the barley or whatever and separate it from the shaft, and you get rid of the shaft, right? So that you could keep the grain. What is it that you're going to use, right? So it's saying, although you do that to grain, right, and you get rid of the shaft, yet will not his fool, it says, though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar with the pestle among groats, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. So if you bray a fool in that same mortar with the pestle, you're not going to be able to drive away his foolishness from him. Why? Because, like I said earlier, a fool is a person that does not subscribe to Torah or does not live by Torah. So how much you try to beat it out of him, he doesn't get it. You try to dig it out of him, he doesn't get it. He's just made for destruction because he's not going to have understanding. Now, a person that knows Torah and is angry and you correct them with Torah, they're going to have to react to Torah because they're going to have to look at themselves or filter themselves through Torah. So this is the difference between godly people and fools. It says here, verse 23, be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds. For riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure unto all generations. So be diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look to thy herds. So have good account of your money, where you invest your money, where you put your money, right? Because we don't have herds and flocks today, but know where you put your money, what you're investing it to, where you're putting it, who you're giving it to, right? Because you're not always going to have that six-figure job, right? So you got to save for a rainy day, and you have to know that you're not always going to be on top, right? You're not always going to be there. So set your future so that way when you might fall off a little, you have reserves and you have things to fall back on. You know how difficult it is for a person that's middle-aged to find a job? After you turn 50, it takes a longer period of time for you to get a job, especially if you don't have one of those type of professions that are like a doctor or a lawyer, things like that. It's pretty hard for you to find a job, right? Because they're looking for the younger workforce, people to pay less money to. So we always have to prepare, right? Look over your flock. Look over your money. Save your money. Don't blow all your money. And start to make investments that are going to be good for you and your retirement age. Verse 25. When the hay is mown and the tender grass showeth itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lambs will be for thy clothing, and the goats the prize for a field. So it just in the same sense is telling you, take care of everything so that in the end you're going to have food to eat, you're going to have clothes to put on your back, and you and your family will be all right in tough times. Verse 27, and there will be goat's milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and maintain for thy maidens. So, and if you do these things, then there's going to be enough food for your household, for your children, for everyone that's underneath you, because you made right decisions, when it was time for you to make the right decisions. Put it like that. So with that, I hope that you've gotten something out of that chapter. I'm just going to do one chapter tonight, praying that the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be with us all. Also praying for all the people out there who are who are in need of prayer. I pray that the Creator be with you all, protect you, guide you, and keep you. I know, and I just want to talk to children, if any one of them are listening right now. I know that it's very enticing to play with fireworks, and I'm speaking of this because in our communities there's been an influx of fireworks being set off, and so much to the point where people can't sleep in neighborhoods, and it's becoming ridiculous. And a lot of it is coming because there is nothing for the children to do. They took down all in New York City especially, they took down all the hoops from the basketball courts, a lot of the parks, and the activities that a lot of our children would do are shut down. And what happened is that the children are sleeping all day, going out in the night. The young men, I don't want to say children so much, but the young men, and they don't have anything to do. And they setting off these firecrackers. I mean, when I was younger, I believe the loudest thing we had was like an M80. And we did mischievous things. We did things like put the M80 by the telephone thing and let all the change come out. I mean, we did things. I mean, I get it. The Roman candle thing looks like fun. I probably would have done that when I was younger. I probably would have put on protective gear, goggles, and mask on my face and all of that. But that stuff with them shooting off the Roman candles at each other, I probably would have done that. I mean, who am I to judge, right? But what I'm saying is this. Firecrackers of today or fireworks of today are not the same as of even when I was growing up. And I don't want to sound like an old person that doesn't know, what they're talking about, because I was there. I played with fireworks, But when one of those little jumping jack type of fireworks went off in your hands, the most it did was wrung your finger. I mean, it hurt. But, you had a little numbing in your finger, and eventually it came back. But today they got M80s and M150s and M200s and M5000s. And when you hold that thing in your hand and you light it, right? And that fuse is malfunctioning, right? And you don't even have a chance to throw it out of your hand. Your hand will get mangled and destroyed. People have got their hands blown off. People have lost arms. A very good player for the New York Giants, and I know this because he played for the New York Giants, and that's my football team. He got his hand mangled, lost finger, had to amputate tips of his other fingers because playing with fireworks. His name is Jason Pierre-Paul. It almost cost him his contract, right? But the Giants were kind to him and retained him and gave him a contract, allowed him to get a contract. So what I'm saying is that as Israelites' children, we shouldn't be engaging in that. And we should be very careful if we are doing those things, right? A lot of people are saying, the people were doing it for Juneteenth or whatever, but it's still continuing. It's not at the same level, but it's still continuing. A lot of the fireworks is tradition from the 4th of July. 4th of July, our forefathers were still in captivity. They were still slaves in America. They're still slaves in America. We didn't become independent, or we didn't become free, supposedly, to 1863. Independence Day is sometimes in the 1700s, 1763 or something like that. I don't know if I'm on or off a year. It flees me right now, but we were still in the barns. It wasn't independence for us. We were still picking cotton, cutting sugar cane, being whipped, being raped, being mistreated. So if that 4th of July celebration is focused on, and the popping of the firecrackers and the fireworks is dedicated to that, we don't need to be a part of that, right? And first and foremost, it's dangerous. You could mangle, you could make a life-changing decision in handling these fireworks, all right? So just be cautious out there. Don't follow a multitude to do that which is not good, or what it says, don't follow a multitude to do that which is evil, because it will cost us our lives, and it will cost us limbs, and cost us things that we need, right? The Most High God is merciful, but we also have to be careful as to how we operate and how we do things, so that the Most High God would look at us and protect us. All right? So it says, a hint to the wise is sufficient. So if you're wise, and I give you a hint, understand, stay far away from it. Remember, stay far away from the evil. Right? A thoughtless person, continues on. But a prudent person sees it and moves away from it. A lot of people lose their limbs during these times. All right? So let's be thoughtful, family. Let's understand and keep ourselves in wisdom and understanding, so that we don't fall into all the same things that everybody does. Let's keep and pray all of our families. Shout out to all of our people out there. Ima Havared, Adon Zamir, my sister Beulah, everybody out there that listens to us, my sister Dina in Georgia, Moradina, Bless Yisrael, who else? So many names and I'm forgetting them now. But all of you that be on. I'm not by the computer, so I can't remember the names. So, but everyone out there that supports us, that are with us continuously every week, who support me on Uzziel Production, and first and foremost, the d.c.b channel, right? Thank you for supporting. Don't forget to subscribe, to like the videos, to make comments on the videos. Those are all very important. And we will continue to bring you these lessons, and we hope that you'll continue to support us, right? We'll continue to improve all of our equipment. As you can see, we try to improve everything in order to keep you guys satisfied and going week by week. So we pray for all of you. I pray for the life of all of you. And I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth will grant us all the desires of our minds that we desire in righteousness. Don't fret because of the times that we live in. We living in a lot of times of commotion and tumult, and we see what's before us. But put your trust in the Creator, because the Creator will always have our back, and He will always guide us in the righteous path. So I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth be with us all, that He will guide and protect us, and that He will keep us. I see y'all in the AM. Remember, d.c.b channel on YouTube, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. See you there. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah.